Welcome to the Call Guys podcast, co-hosted by Kevin Hopp and Ronen Pessar. This podcast is all about sales development and the art and science of building high-performing outbound sales teams. Tune in weekly to hear live cold calls and also to hear Kevin and Ronen interview some of the top names in sales development. Let's dive right into this week's episode and see what we can learn. This episode is brought to you by Connect and Sell, your live conversation weapon. Teams that use Connect and Sell average 5 to 10 times more live conversations every day with their prospects. As a cold calling consultant, I've used every platform out there, and simply put, Connect and Sell is the Cadillac of the sales acceleration space. If you haven't tried it out, your team can try it for free by clicking the link in the show notes below.
We are live. Welcome back, y'all.
Welcome back. Man. Welcome back. Thank you, everybody, for tuning in from wherever you are in the world. Drop in the chat where you're sitting. We'd love to hear. Back again. This is Kevin and Ronen. We are the Call Guys. We cold call live. This show is sponsored. We have a sponsor. It's Connect and Sell. It's your live conversation weapon. I don't know if you guys have ever used Connect and Sell. If you haven't, you need to try it out. Load up a list, hit go, have instant live conversations with prospects in your target market. It really is that easy. We're going to share a bit of our screen today. You'll see a little bit of Connect and Sell later on. But Ronen, one thing we should talk about, this was supposed to be co-hosted by Maria Bras. Unfortunately, Maria's
not able to join us, unfortunately.
Yeah. Maria's, her I think her bathroom flooded and her house might be floating down a river right now. I feel really bad for her. So
I hope not. I hope she's okay. Sadly, we will have to reschedule the one with Maria, but we'll be back every other week. So we'll have a bunch of callers lined up for the next ones. But today you're just going to hear me and Kev get into it. So I'm already ripping through a list here. I don't know about you.
You're already dialing?
I am loaded.
Oh, I love that. I love that.
So tell us, who are you calling today?
I'm going to be calling a list of founders, CEOs.
Excellent. I got a list. You're going to say that?
Yeah, I got founder CEOs, and I also have some sales personas, some folks that we might want to talk about doing sales training for.
That's my list. So I'm getting after sales leaders today that we're going to talk about doing cold call training for. And I'm going to share a little bit about the script that I'm going to use. You're going to hear my tone as I do it. But before we get into it, I'd love to hear from y'all in the audience. Feel free to tune in the comments, share where you're joining us from. We'd love to say hello. And also let us know if this is your first time Hop on calls with the Call Guys.
Hop on calls.
Hop. All right, let's see. We got Giano in the room. What's up, Giano? And Kevin's actually going to be on a live cold call show after this one tomorrow. So tomorrow he's got another cold call competition that he's taking place in.
That's right.
Not making the calls, but coaching.
If there are cold calls being made on the internet, I'm probably involved in it. That is a fact. That is a fact. So, Ronen, talk to me a little bit about the boot camp that we're doing. I think we've had some really good experiences in the past 2 weeks with our boot camp. But what is the boot camp for people who might not know?
Yeah, so the cold calling boot camp is a live Zoom training. We take any cold caller through 4 live lessons once a week where we introduce you and teach the core concepts of good calling. So it goes from the call opener and tonality into the script, objection handling, problem stacking, and closing. And what we try to teach during that time is how to start more conversations. The challenge for most people is that they're using a lot of bad or old tactics, or in some cases, they haven't been trained at all. And they're using these bad approaches to try to generate conversations and meetings. And instead, they're just getting hung up on. They lack confidence. They think cold calling is slimy. Sales is slimy. Ooh. So we share a lot of paradigm shifts to switch that all around, do a whole 180. And we also share the secret sauce that Kevin and I have learned over the last 19 years of collective cold calling with over 1 million dials made, including whatever number of dials we're going to make today.
Wow. 19 years. When you say it like that.
I know. It's been a long time. Well, so I got started in 2013 and you got started in 2014, right?
That is, I believe that's accurate. Yeah. 2014 is when I started my sales career. I didn't make cold calls right away though, because my first job out of college, I was the first hire at a startup. I didn't start cold calling until I had the necessity to, until I needed to develop pipeline. But we were like so early with our product that I didn't do a lot of cold calling out the gate. But then, in that first job, I did something that I highly recommend that every sales pro do at least once in their sales career, which is get money on the phone. There's nothing like cold calling and getting someone to pull out their credit card out of the blue and pay you. Like that was intense. And I really enjoyed it. I was actually really good at it.
That's awesome. I've only done it for SaaS orgs where it's always been about getting the time. I've never done, that's the one thing that I have not checked off my bucket list.
Hey, let's try it today.
Hey, Ron. It's Ronen Pessar. How have you been? It's Ronen Pessar, not Mr. Wheaton. Can you hear me okay? Oh, no stress, Ron. When would be better? Next week. All right. Does it make sense for me to take 23 seconds to share why I was calling first? And then I won't even call you next week if it doesn't make sense. I will not take that personally. Totally understand, Ron. Quick question for you. Are you still overseeing revenue over at Product Science? Look, when it comes to your team's cold calling abilities, do you already have a way to make sure that your callers are booking at least one meeting a day? All right, Ron, I'll talk to you then. All right, bye. So let me tell you what just happened there. Head of revenue, actually really, really nice guy. He was like, oh, sorry, I thought this was someone else. He was like, oh, Mr. Wheaton. I'm like, nope, it's Ronen Pessar, not Mr. Wheaton.
Mr. Wheaton.
And then he was like, I got to go. I'm like, yeah, when would be better? He's like, next week. And then I hit him with that line. Does it make sense for me to share why I was calling in 23 seconds? And if it's not relevant, I won't even call you back next week. And he's like, yeah, but just want to let you know if this guy calls me, I'm going to hang up and it's not personal. I'm like, yeah, that's fine. I got into it. And then I heard a long pause and he's like, sorry, I really can't do this right now. Mm-hmm. And this goes back to something you and I talk about and fiercely debate a lot, which is when someone is legitimately busy, like they're running into a meeting, like actually busy. Yep. My approach is to say what I said just now. When would be better? Your approach, and what I've also learned from our good friend Colin Mitchell, is you guys just get right off. You're like, hey, no worries. I'll try again later. Take care.
Deuces. I'm out.
Now, like, I feel like I have a good reason to actually connect with this guy. Hey, that was me. I caught you right before you got on the phone with Mr. Wheaton. Then I'm going to shoot him that in the note on LinkedIn when I connect him and be like, hey, Ronen, not Mr. Wheaton. Like that. Hopefully that'll jog his memory.
Yeah.
But why is it that you just bounce from the call?
Because process. Now, what do I mean by process? The only way that I cold call is with a rock solid process for follow-up. Meaning, I'm going to call somebody 10 times, probably over the course of 8 to 10 days in a row until they pick up. And if they pick up and they're busy, I have it in my systems in Connect and Sell, teed up, ready to be called the next day. So I don't need to force a conversation. I don't need, if someone's remotely busy, I'm going to follow up with them. And that's actually a really big differentiator. I think one of the number one problems in sales is that salespeople forget to follow up. It's the simplest thing. Consistency is key. If you're going to try to really get in touch with somebody and have a conversation with them, you have to follow up. You have to call them multiple times over multiple days. So I don't need to ever force the issue. It's kind of like what I'm saying. It's like, hey, cool, I'll catch you another time because I know I'm going to call them back. Now, if I was calling, if I had a notebook and I was punching 10 digits at a time, I would feel pressure to be like, oh shit, well, I got him on the phone. I should talk to him right now. Like right now needs to be when we talk about this. But since I have a really good tech process, I don't ever have to worry about it. So that's the approach I take.
Yeah. And so tell us a little bit about that tech process, because I think there's a big hack in there for people that most folks are not super aware of. So
the process really comes down to three things. We can whiteboard this out a little bit. Why don't we do that?
By the way, I'm still ripping dials here.
Good. I paused because I love doing lectures. But we're going to have a 3-tiered system here, and we'll use our little metaphor of a weapon, our conversation weapon, right? So this 3-tiered layer cake that we're looking at on the board, the bottom is your CRM. This is where the leads should live. This is your system of record, your HubSpot, your Salesforce, your whatever. I recommend going with the big one so that it'll connect to everything else. In the middle, we do recommend you have a sales engagement platform, SEP. So what that's going to do is that's going to sit on top of your CRM and organize your leads, allow you to take actions to them over time. The sales engagement platform is modern sales, right? The old version of this was a notebook, right? Old time sellers in the past 15, 20, 30 years ago didn't have something that could keep track of who they talked to, when they need to follow up with them in an automated, easy fashion. But then on top of it, you put Connect and Sell, which is our dialing solution to take actions to the people inside of our sales engagement platform. And this is actually like the way that I describe this to founders is it's a closed loop. Meaning we're not taking actions outside of this. We're doing all of our activity inside of this closed loop. And therefore the tracking, the analytics, the data goes up and down the stack and it all relates to itself. It all relates to each other. You don't have independent actions going on. So it's free consulting out there for everybody, by the way. Ronen and I get paid handsomely to do this with tech startups. And hey, we could do this.
Hey, Ela. Hi, Ela. It's Ronen Pessar. How have you been? Yeah, this is Ronen Pessar. Hey, look, I know nobody likes getting a cold call, especially not on a Tuesday. So I can keep it super brief and then you can decide if you want to hang up. Oh my gosh, sounds like I got you at the worst possible moment. All right, take care. I got sorry, I'm with my newborn right now. I can't talk. Look, possibly on mat leave.
Been there. Ronen, you've been there. You're going to be there again shortly, aren't you?
That's right. Very excited. All right, let's see here. Is this person even worth connecting with? Yeah, how about that?
Boop-a-doo, boop-a-doo-doo-doo. I am in the queue. Let's hope I have some conversation soon.
So my opener, as you can hear, I go right in with just hi person name. And the reason I do that is because they always respond with the same thing. Like, hey, who is this? It's that extra moment of like pulling them into the call one step further, because without that,
hey, this is Kevin, the call guys. Daniel, how are you?
Nice.
Fantastic. Daniel, I know I'm a bit of an interruption here. I can actually hear that you got me on in your car. Dang. Well, are you talking hands-free? This is not life or death. Right on. Well, my name's Kevin Hopp. I actually run a business. I'm a co-founder in a business called The Call Guys. The reason I was reaching out to you, we work directly with B2B SaaS businesses to help them transform their sales teams and build a really strong outbound sales culture, doing things a lot like this. Do you have an outbound sales team today? Oh, wow. Well, congratulations. Do you have a new venture that you're working on? Okay. Very early, meaning like pre-sales, right? We're not trying to go outbound and set new meetings and drive business yet. Yeah, no, that makes sense. You're thinking about it the right way. That's what I always recommend for founders is to tap that network before you invest in going outbound, because outbound can be, if you're not aiming it right, it could be very expensive. So, okay, cool. Well, I will. Daniel, I'll stay in touch with you. You have a great rest of your day. Cheers.
Ooh, so close.
Well,
what happened?
Kind of not qualified in a way. Thank you for cheering me on, Gianna. Appreciate that. But this guy, Daniel, he actually had sold his business. And because he sold his business, he's working on a very early stage thing, but they're at the point where they're doing founder-led sales, right? So outbound is, he mentioned they're pre-revenue too. So if you're pre-revenue, that's not exactly where we're supposed to be. But yeah, that was that. Onward.
On to the next one.